Chief Justice Thomas Moyer was the Chief Justice in Ohio for almost 24 years. He passed away in April of this year. We were blessed to have had his involvement on the advisory board of our O'Connor Selection Initiative, and I had the true pleasure of having known him for some time prior to that. Chief Justice Moyer is credited with having restored integrity to the judiciary of Ohio, having taken the reins at a time when confidence and trust in the Ohio bench were at an all-time low. One member of the judiciary in Ohio said that Tom took the Ohio courts from typewriters to computers, from a backwater to the future, and that when he thinks of Tom, he thinks of the lyrics from the title track to the movie, To Sir with Love. How do you thank someone who has taken you from crayons to perfume? Tom was gentle, civil, diplomatic, and effective. His integrity was his hallmark. He had an unswerving dedication to the rule of law, but also to the efficient and transparent functioning of the courts. His longtime administrative assistant says of him, "Somehow he made you sit up straighter when he walked into the room. Without giving a look, it would happen. Somehow I always wanted to work harder and be a better person for him." He spoke annually at boys' state conventions in Ohio, and in one of those speeches he said, "Our world, your world, desperately needs more risk takers. Take the risk, preserve your values, defend the truth when those around you are dishonest. Take the risk to be involved in a campaign for a ballot issue or a candidate, or be a candidate. Speak up, take action, challenge a meaningless convention at the risk of being embarrassed. And remember, you don't have to be James Madison, Martin Luther King, or a war hero to say, 'Here am I.'" One of Tom's truths, one of his goals, was to remove Ohio's contested election judicial selection system from politics and establish an appointment retention system. He planned to continue that work upon his retirement and to continue to assist us in our efforts. Former president of the American Bar Association, Bill Newcomb, says that the great unfinished work of Tom Moyer's life was to change the selection system in Ohio. At our first advisory board meeting for the O'Connor Judicial Selection Initiative in Phoenix last December, we were fortunate enough to have a videographer, and we have some footage of Chief Justice Moyer's comments on judicial selection for you.
We in Ohio have been working with the leaders of Ukraine since 1992, when Ukraine became independent of the Soviet Union. And at a large meeting of judges in Ukraine a few years ago, I was asked the question, what is the size of the police force your court would hire to enforce your judgments in Ohio or a state in the United States? And that question brought into very sharp focus for me the importance of the impartial and the expectation of our citizens of impartial courts. And I said, you know, we don't have a police force to enforce our judgments. And it's because most citizens, even if they lose their case in a court, believe the system works, that they lost by the rules, if you will, that there's a process that has guaranteed them a fair trial, and I think that is what is at stake, and that's why people's knowledge and understanding of the fundamentals of our system is so important, because the expectation of citizens that the system, the judicial system, is the place for the fair and peaceful resolution of disputes is what really gives us our strength. We don't have an army. We can't raise taxes, as Alexander Hamilton said. So we have as people's respect and confidence that we function, that we perform our duties as we're supposed to. And so the people are our police force, if you will. That's what we have to have. People have to continue to demand that the courts be impartial. And if they do, courts will be impartial and independent.
We at the Institute promise that we will not be afraid or embarrassed, that we will take risks, that we will try in our small way to pick up where Chief Justice Moyer left off in the battle for the integrity of the courts. We are thrilled to have here tonight to accept the award on behalf of Tom Moyer, his wife, Mary Moyer.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky, for those kind words and about Tom. Chief Justice Malarkey and Chief Justice Jefferson, Justice Bender, Senator Raggio, members of the Board of Advisors, friends, and invited guests. Tom would have loved to attend this dinner and seeing all of you here this evening. He made quick friends with so many of you, and now I have a chance to glimpse why. You have been so gracious and welcoming to my daughter, Ann Miller, and me. I know this group shares Tom's passion for protecting and enhancing the institutions he cared about so deeply, the judiciary and the legal profession. He was honored when Justice O'Connor asked him to serve on the advisory committee of her judicial selection initiative, and he looked forward to working with her to change the method of selecting justices of the Supreme Court of Ohio. Few things gave Tom more professional satisfaction than programs that expanded access to the courts and efforts that ensured the judiciary is fair and impartial. He saw computers as a means for enhancing the transparency of the courts, and he saw cameras in the courtroom as a way to eliminate the mystery of the least understood branch. He saw mediation as a means of minimizing the adversarial nature of the law. Tom, like all of you here this evening, sought to ensure that people had access to courts that were fair and were perceived to be fair. Tom once told an audience of judges that their highest reward is recognition by those they serve that the legal process has been fairly applied to them. And he felt this deeply. And that is why he was so troubled by the increasing demands to raise large amounts of campaign contributions for judicial races. Each campaign dollar, he believed, chipped away at the public's trust and confidence in the courts. He saw the work of the courts as being far too important to be exposed to the damaging effects of costly campaigns. He believed that the true nature of the courts, which was the application of justice, fulfilled such a fundamental role in a civilized society that it should never be tarnished by the politics of campaign donations. So I thank you for honoring the life's work of Tom Moyer, and thank you all for all that you do to keep alive the vision of a judiciary that is fair and impartial. Yes. Thank you. That was beautiful.